Have you ever wondered if there was a war that didn't just end, but changed the very rules of our world? A conflict so profound that it split history in two, leaving us living in its aftermath without even knowing it. Long before recorded history, ancient legends speak of a time when the skies filled with omens, and the world teetered on the brink of an irreversible change. This wasn't a simple fight for territory or power. It was the moment humanity crossed an invisible line, leaving one version of itself behind forever. The seeds were sown long before the first spear was thrown. A shifting climate squeezed resources, pushing civilizations already strained by ambition and fear to their limits. Archaeologists have found cities fortified in a hurry, roads carved with a sense of panic, and borders drawn not with confidence, but with dread. We see entire civilizations vanish from the historical record, their absence a ghostly testament to a defeat so absolute that even memory was shattered. Leaders of the time spoke of destiny and divine right, all while silencing any voice that dared to question the official story. They were burying the true scale of this transformation under layers of soil and silence, ensuring that for generations, we would only know the version they wanted us to. At the heart of this war were not heroes, but systems. It was about logistics, not legends. The real battles were won through standardized weapons, coordinated supply chains, and mass movements of people on a scale never seen before. Forbidden texts from the era hint that the leaders knew exactly what they were doing. They weren't just winning a war. They were building a new kind of world, one where conflict was a permanent, structural part of society. Maps from this period don't show routes connecting cultures. They show networks designed to control them. This was the birth of the military-industrial complex, millennia before we had a name for it. As the conflict grew, information became the ultimate weapon. Victories were exaggerated, defeats were erased, and the reasons for fighting were constantly rewritten to fit the narrative of the powerful. Archaeology reveals the consequences. Entire cultures abruptly changed, languages replaced, and economies rewired to serve a new authority. Climate change followed the armies, as deforestation and famine amplified the trauma. Today, modern technology like satellite imaging and data analysis is peeling back the layers of propaganda, revealing the buried truth. What makes this ancient war so unique isn't its size, but its permanence. It didn't just defeat armies, it defeated the possibility of returning to a world before it. This war never truly ended. It simply became the invisible architecture of our modern world, embedding itself into the global systems that shape our politics, our economies, and even our way of thinking. It changed the rules so completely that we are still playing its game today. After the war, the world didn't heal. It reorganized. Societies rebuilt themselves, not by escaping the conflict, but by embedding its logic into their very foundation. Structures born in emergency became the new normal, and they called it order. Look at ancient legends from across the globe. You'll find echoes of this same shift. Elders lamenting a lost age of balance, replaced by an era of constant vigilance and rigid hierarchy. Archaeology uncovers lost civilizations that serve as grim warning settlements abandoned not just because of defeat, but because they couldn't adapt to the new demands of scale and control. Old maps show trade routes redrawn into military supply lines. Forbidden texts whisper a chilling fear that peace itself had become temporary, a strategically managed condition. This war fundamentally changed how humanity understood authority. Power shifted from charismatic leaders to impersonal systems that outlived any single individual. Continuity was no longer ensured by loyalty, but by bureaucracy and relentless record-keeping. Archaeological digs revealed the sudden rise of standardized administration measures and censuses, all tools designed to sustain mobilization, even in times of supposed peace. As the climate became more unstable, our dependence on these centralized systems deepened. Unpredictable weather required absolute control over resources, reinforcing the new order. Later generations would mythologize the founders of this system, but hidden documents reveal a deep anxiety among those very leaders. They knew they had unleashed something. They could no longer fully command a machine that demanded constant readiness, surveillance, and sacrifice. Long after the banners of war were lowered, knowledge itself became a casualty. The war rewarded technical expertise, but punished dissenting thought, narrowing the range of acceptable ideas. Libraries weren't just preserved, they were curated. Dangerous ideas were systematically removed under the guise of unity. Archaeology shows us selective rebuilding, with temples and schools, aligned only with sanctioned beliefs, while alternative traditions vanish from the historical record. Climate pressures were used to justify these controls, framing obedience as the only path to survival. Politically, the conflict set precedents that still endure. It legitimized extraordinary measures during crises and ensured those measures rarely disappeared afterward. Suppressing history became official policy because acknowledging the manipulation threatened the new stability. Forbidden texts speak of debates that were erased, compromises hidden, and atrocities reframed as unfortunate necessities. Archaeological layers show entire populations relocated, their identities dissolved or forcibly absorbed. By the time the war officially ended, its most important work was already done. Humanity had been ancient legends fall silent, replaced by the cold hum of institutions. The ruins of lost civilizations mark the price of refusal. We are left with the unsettling realization that the war as true battlefield was never just the land, it was the future itself. We didn't just survive. We were redesigned by the conflict, step by step, until the very idea of resistance became unthinkable, and even memory itself became fragile. Imagine a war so vast, so all-consuming, that it didn't just end, it melted into the very fabric of our world. Over centuries, its memory faded, but its influence remained, becoming the environment we live in. It's the hidden blueprint for how we measure security, how we define progress, and what we perceive as a threat. Ancient legends whispered of a great rupture, a time before, but the details are conveniently blurry, as if humanity chose to forget. Think about it. Lost civilizations are just footnotes in our history books, their demise blamed on fate, not on their refusal to fall in line. Our maps show rigid borders that tell us where not to go, discouraging exploration and imagination. Texts that warned against a world built for permanent conflict, they mysteriously vanished from our education. All the while, a changing climate added pressure, making the harsh systems born from crises seem not just necessary, but permanent. Archaeology tells a silent story of this aftermath. Cities weren't designed for community, but for control, surveillance, and rapid mobilization. Fortifications became more than just walls. They were embedded in our laws and architecture. Economic systems were built to extract resources and stay ready for a fight that never seemed to come. Ancient roads, once carved for armies, now carry our trade, their military origins completely disguised. Even today, modern technology reveals these ancient patterns. Our city planning, our governments, even our cultural rituals still echo the decisions made during that one long-forgotten war. Political spin has masterfully reframed this transformation as progress, turning adaptation into advancement. History wasn't erased by burning books, but by overwhelming them with approved stories, burying uncomfortable truths under mountains of noise. The war's greatest victory wasn't on a battlefield. It was teaching us to accept a state of permanent emergency as normal. It exhausted our attention and fragmented our memory, discouraging us from ever looking back. The true human cost is etched into our collective psycho-low-grade anxiety, a normalized obedience, a quiet resignation to systems that demand constant vigilance. So, the most chilling truth isn't that a war happened, it's that it never truly ended. It simply changed its form. Its battlefield became our governance, its weapons bureaucracy and fear. Every ancient map, buried city, and suppressed text points to the same conclusion. Humanity crossed the line and built a new world from the other side. The question is, can we ever go back? The war waits, not in history, but in our habits, in systems always prepared for the worst, watching to see if we will finally choose remembrance over fear. Thanks for watching.